don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hello there. Diehard One Piece fan here. Ever since like 2005, I think I've been following it, and that's like a lot of time invested in something that honestly better have a great payoff. But it's hard to think that it wouldn't have a great payoff when literally this is the show that has always kept me on my toes. It always knows how to keep me invested. The characters' relationships, like it had the biggest payoff relationship, the like family tree ever since I found out that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father. Spoilers. Yeah, it was like, oh my gosh, that is the craziest tree I've ever seen. And then you find out about his brother, and that's like, oh my gosh, again, a crazy thing. And then you find out about like other relationships, and it's like, this is just nuts. When you find out about his mother, that's going to be even crazy. Everything is just insane. Best payoffs. And it always knows how to get me to tear up. I mean, when its first cast member dies is like one of the, and those of you who know the series know the cast member I'm talking about. It is tear felt. I mean, they give him a Viking send off. It is just very heartfelt. Even every character, no matter how minor, gets an amazing story, an amazing origin story. Like it's what's interesting because beforehand they didn't really touch on anything. Like heck, Luffy's original origin episode was like 1 episode long. And then Zoro's was 1 episode long. And then they go to Chopper, and Chopper I think had 1 or 2. And then they go on to Brooke. Brooke had like 3. I think Robin had like 4. I think she had the most. So it's just like one of those things that each character gets more and more. Law, his origin, because I guess there was Doflamingo were paired together. And you who don't even watch the show don't have a clue of the characters. But their story arcs were basically paired together, kind of. They kind of split them up a bit. But Law's, I think, was like 10 episodes long, but it's just so amazing because the more characters that are introduced, you would think that the arcs would get like shorter and shorter and shorter, but no, they've gotten longer. Like I remember the first long arc was the Alabasta Saga, and that's my least favorite out of all of them, which is funny because a lot of people enjoyed that, but it was my least favorite because I hated Vivi. I absolutely hated Vivi, and when she was asked to join the crew, I was mad, but I absolutely hated Vivi. And it was just like, how dare you disrespect Luffy? Luffy's a great man, and you're getting mad at him for trying to protect you for getting shot? That's kind of where I drew the line right there. She was a complete pacifist. Even when she was getting shot at, she was a complete pacifist. But it's just like, yeah, it's funny how you can create huge attachments and likes and dislikes to each and every character because they give you just enough to let you know who these characters are without giving you too much. Like, you don't know about these characters, like, to bring it into Western terms, for some reason, all the craze is making you know about their sexual preference. You don't really care or know about most of these characters' sexual preference. You know about a few, but of course, that's like the common... like the Jiraiya from Naruto, the ones who are the Master Roshi from Dragon Ball. Yeah, the Sanji and Brook, which is funny. They have two, and then one who literally calls himself the Frankie, who just dresses like, you know, the way he dresses. It's funny, but it's just like the only time it's actually been relevant is like when there was a Bon Clay. But it really didn't add or take away. It was just his character. It made you realize his character more. So it's just like, oh, he's a fun guy. You enjoy him. It's not a big deal. Nobody cares. It's just a character quirk. That's all it was. It was a way of developing that character. When they introduced more, like Ivankov, Eva. When they introduce her, yeah, it's just like one of those things that it's just like, yeah, you understand, but at the same time, Eva has the ability to flip on a dime, but you accept it. Like, that's one thing I found amazing about this series, is it has the ability to introduce more ridiculous characters, and you just accept it. Like, I remember the first time I saw, Nami's origin, everything, and she actually had like 2-episode origin story with Bellamere, her mother. 2 episodes with Arlong pilots, with the fishmen. It's just like fishmen, fish people. This is ridiculous. But I accepted it. I was interested, and this was, I think, 26. No, I know it wasn't 50. 50. It was probably 40, 30s, 40s. Yeah, episodes. And you're accepting it. Yeah, I'm going episodes because let's face it, more people have probably watched the series than have read the manga. Don't know why. The manga is amazing because there's a scar underneath Luffy's eye, which if you read the manga, it's literally the first panel right there. It's the first panel, first page, I guess. You find out how he got that scar. You don't find out how he got that scar till way down in the series show line running, because the way it was transitioned, it was just like, this might seem a little too dark. So a lot of things are changed because it was seen as a little too dark. So they tried to undercut it a bit, but as they went on and on and on, it was like, yeah, let's just continue with what the way it was written. It just flows better. And it does. It really does. And I really do love it. I mean, I can constantly talk about this because, like I said, Arlong pirates, they were the first to be introduced. They knew it was like, that's weird. But then they talked about fishmen as if that was a common thing. Just like the devil fruit. A man using rubber powers I never thought would seem so cool. Imagine that. Seeing Mr. Fantastic look awesome. Seeing these Elastigirl actually be cool instead of using ridiculous powers, even though Luffy does use even more ridiculous powers, but they just seem so awesome. Absolutely awesome. I never thought a writer would be able to write something so ridiculous to be so awesome. I never thought that was capable. And you actually see it here. So you start to accept the devil fruits. You learn more and more, because it's funny. And it makes sense as to why he can change a bit of the story, because in the East Blue, they're in like a generic weak sea. They don't know much about the devil fruits. They don't know much about anything. That when you get into the Grand Line, it seemed like Oda started flushing out what devil fruits were, what the powers are, what the Grand Line is, all these things, that he was like, okay, since we're in a more advanced, more sophisticated, more violent area, let's just make it more well known, because they did introduce the fact that the Grand Line is where the devil fruits are better known. And then you get further into the story, and apparently there's a book of devil fruits, which Vegapunk has been putting together. This genius scientist who works for the Navy. All these little things add up, but it's just like, it makes sense because you started out in the East Blue, a weak sea. And it always seemed like certain people in the story knew more than the main characters, which I actually like. It makes sense when other characters know, because it feels like I'm learning along with them. Like, they look at the log pose, they look at all these things, and they start scoffing, things like that. Just like, how are you going to navigate? There is no real way to tell which way is north, which way is south, which way is east, or which way the sail is. I absolutely love the way this whole thing is done. Because when it finally came to the whole Cake Island arc, I was already invested in every little thing, that no matter what they threw at me, a giant cake castle, a giant, like the powers, everything, I immediately accepted. Immediately. Why? Because they've been trinkling these things throughout. Which is smart. That's what you do when you create. You sprinkle the ridiculousness in, so when you finally get to a place which is dedicated to something like food, it makes sense. And it makes sense because this person, the ruler there, is completely dedicated to food. Absolutely. Completely 100% dedicated to food. That it makes you believe that, okay, yeah, they would kill off anyone who had a power of food just so they could find it again and give it to one of their people. So I immediately accept every little thing, even thing that I'm not told. Like, you're not told that they hunt devil fruit eaters who have the power of food. You're not told that. I just immediately assumed that they would do that just so they could give it to their people, just so their people have the ability to use a devil fruit related to food. It just makes sense to me. It's like, it looks like what would happen. Yeah, I can't praise this enough. I really think I should do like a breakdown from arc to arc, starting off with the first episode, because literally the first episode is not really a complete arc. I think it would be when he gets introduced to Zoro and leaves Kobe behind. That's the first complete arc right there. Yeah, I would skip the filler, which is funny. The filler in this series is non-existent, completely non-existent. like every time there's filler, it's actually important. But and like the whole buggy filler in the beginning, because when I was reading the manga again, I used to skip like the first panel. The first panel is Buggy's adventures, which he literally has an episode, 2 episodes, I think, in the series, and I didn't realize that they actually had panels for it before each main chapter. So it's just like, okay, I actually like it now because it actually is relevant. Most of what's introduced, like, I was looking at the cover art because I'm rereading the whole thing again. I was looking at the cover art and I was like, this looks like Whole Cake Island. This looks like a bit of Skypiea. This looks like a bit of, because you see it in the cover. You see things that he was basically seeding ridiculousness in at the beginning. It's like, who will make a comment on this? Who will make a comment on this? Because I think it was volume 3, chapter something, where they had like food with mouths and eyes. Yeah. You can see where I'm going. Yeah, you can see how they were seeding ridiculousness. But you accept it when it finally comes up. I need to stop ranting because now I'm eager to watch it, and I have other things I need to record. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening to me just praise this. I would really love to meet Oda one day because he is like the epitome of a great writer. I've never seen Shonen Jump actually written like this, because normally it's the same beat over and over and over and over and over again, and normally it's the same close over and over and over again. Like, I got tired of Naruto because of the freaking orange jumpsuit. Why is he always wearing an orange jumpsuit? Why? Doesn't he ever change his clothes? Doesn't he? Like, that's one thing I liked about One Piece, is like every arc we get a new set of clothes. I think it really does start when they get to the Drum Island, when that really does take effect. That right there. And if you think about it, it's hard to judge how much time has actually passed, but it seems like it took a few days, maybe a few months, to get from the East Blue to the end of the Grand Line, to the Red Line. A few days time period. If you're actually reading and you're actually watching it and trying to figure out, it's just like, how many days have passed? How many days have passed? Just like I started rewatching the series again, and it's just like when they're in Fishman Island, they mention that in 4 days after they've beaten Hordy and everything, they mentioned that in 4 days the Tea Party will take effect. 400 episodes later, we have the Tea Party. 400 episodes later. So from that point there, 400 episodes later is 4 days. But that's the thing. When you have so many characters, you have to give time to each character. When you're trying to develop these massive arcs that last hundreds of episodes, you have to take the time, which it seems like a lot of writers don't seem to realize. They try to make it fast, and just give you the main character. The problem is that every character is a main character. In the One Piece story, it's not just about Monkey D. Luffy. It's about Roronoa Zoro. It's about Nami. It's about Usopp. They all have their own goals. What is it? King of the Pirates, World's Greatest Swordsman, create a map of the whole world, Warrior of the Sea, the All Blue, Great Doctor, I think that's Chopper's, wanting to meet Laboon, wanting to take his ship around the entire world, basically make it the ship of dreams. Crap, which character am I missing? I got Chopper, Brooke, I got Frankie. Oh, Robin, find out what happened to the missing century. I mean, that's just fascinating. And the fact that they took Robin, introduced the fact that there's a missing century. They introduced this years ago. I don't think even Oda knew what he was actually trying to grasp there. But it's just like, it has made it so unique, so amazing, just knowing that there's a century of gap missing from the timeline. And it's like, what happened? Because apparently that's kind of like, I'm guessing that's when the Devil Fruits came around. That's when the Poneglyphs came around. That's when all this stuff happened. That's when the Navy, world government came around. So it's kind of fascinating to see all that. Apparently, Dragon knows something. Of course, Gold Roger's crew, the King of the Pirates, his crew knows something. All these things, they know something, but it was like, it's not their time. Dragon basically went to war with the Navy, making the Revolutionary Army, and the pirates live freely. The king of the pirates felt like it wasn't his job to tell the world this news. I'm still curious as to what his power was, the king of the pirate, Gold Roger's power was. Because they keep hinting at it, this guy who had this absolute power to see things in the world, to see things that people shouldn't know. It's just like, I'm curious about that. I am absolutely curious because it seems like Luffy's got a bit of that power. He can listen to creatures. He can hear them talk, which they've introduced in the very beginning of the series. If you remember Shushu, the dog that guarded the pet store, he spoke with Shushu and thanked Shushu and basically told Shushu to have a great time too. It's just like he was speaking with Shushu. They've introduced this a long time ago. He didn't need the whisper fruit. He just instinctively can. All right, I need to stop. I said this, I was going to do this beforehand. I need to stop. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed me ranting about the series. It's just my favorite. It's absolutely just my favorite. Because honestly, as much as I want it to end eventually, I'll be sad and angry when it ends. Oh, and one more caveat. Netflix, I would rather you not make a live action. I'm already pissed of how you treat all other adaptations. Your crap... Don't touch One Piece. Of course, you're not going to care what I say because it's just like, oh, money. I would rather you not touch One Piece, or at least get a diehard fan to work on it. Don't just pick some writer off of Twitter or something random and just like, oh, this looks like this. Let's do this. No. Thank you all for watching. Toodles.